This is the most important AI update of the month, and almost nobody's talking about it. Here's why. People, and me included, only lose their mind when there's a brand new flagship model. And this isn't that. This is a boring mid-tier model called Claude Sonnet 5. And this is exactly why you should care. Anthropic quietly took their everyday workhorse and pushed it up until it almost matches their most powerful model yet. And then they made it half the price. Everyone is scrolling past this and you shouldn't, because near top tier intelligence at a budget is the thing that actually changes what you can build and sell. Let me show you what changed, what it really costs, and the doors that just opened. So quick context in case you've been touching grass. Claude has three models. Haiku is the small fast one. Sonnet is the mid-tier workhorse that almost everyone uses. And then last but not least is Opus, which is their strongest model available to the public right now. Now, Sonnet 5 is the new workhorse, and Anthropic pushed it up to almost match the level of Opus 4.8. The big upgrade is that it's the most agentic sonnet yet, meaning it doesn't just answer one simple question. It can make a plan, use tools like a browser or a terminal, and run on its own to finish a task. All right, so here we are in front of the benchmarks, and I'll keep the nerdy part short. As you can see on the agentic coding side, Sonnet makes a huge jump. Not in the first case, it goes from 58.1 to 63, and then it goes from 67% all the way up to 80.4%. This is super close to the flagship model, which is Opus 4.8 at 82.7%. So you can see just how close these two models are getting. On some knowledge work tests, it ties Opus and even surpasses it just by a little bit. Now, keep in mind, this is half the price of Opus 4.8. Now, the translation is, for most real work, you no longer need to pay for super expensive models. All right, so we talked about half the price, but what is that price? So as you can see here on screen, we have what it costs per million tokens for every single model. Claude Fable 5 and Mythos 5 are $10 per million token. These models are not available right now, but that's the pricing. And then Opus 4.8, which is the model we're comparing to as it's the top tier right now, is $5 per million tokens. So now if we look at Claude Sonnet 5, which just came out, is $2 per million tokens, which funny enough is somehow cheaper than the older Sonnet models right now. And here are two quick tricks to cut that cost even further. If you're using Anthropic APIs, there's a big chance you're using them on some sort of web app or application, which means you're probably reusing the same instructions over and over. So let me introduce you to prompt caching. Prompt caching basically saves the prompts you're reusing so that Claude doesn't have to calculate them again. Now, depending on how big that prompt you're reusing is, you can knock off 90% of your total tokens. Another concept I'd like to introduce you to is batch processing. So this is if you need asynchronous answers, meaning you don't need the answer immediately, you just need it sometime soon. So instead of processing requests one at a time with immediate responses, batch processing allows you to submit multiple requests together for asynchronous processing. So by using batch mode, you essentially half the price yet again. So now what do you do with a smart model that's suddenly cheap? The first use case is you can just use it inside of your Claude chat and you would save up on your tokens and not hit your usage limits if you're on the cheaper plans like the Pro one. Or the most interesting part is to use it via an API. And this is where people usually drop off. It's when they hear the word API. So don't panic, I'll cover it right now and what it means to use an API. An API is essentially just a doorway that lets you plug the model into your own stuff. So it could be a website, a spreadsheet, a WhatsApp chat, whatever it is. So instead of typing straight into Claude's app, you use your own system to talk to the model. That's all an API is. The model, but on autopilot inside of your workspace. And here's why Sonnet 5 specifically is the one to build on. It's agentic, meaning it can use tools, browse the web, run a terminal, and call other apps, meaning it can keep working until it reaches its goal. That's the leap from a chatbot that answers a simple question to an agent that can do the complete work. And Anthropic hands you the tool set to build this. It's called Tool Use, plus their agent SDK for full-blown agents. Now, what this means for someone that builds with AI like yourself is that almost any boring, repetitive tasks that a company pays a human to do can now be automated for a very cheap price. If it's a process, it's automatable. If it's a process, it's probably automatable. And so that's the mental shift here. You're not building a chatbot that answers a question, you're building an agent that actually solves a problem. So the move is pretty simple. Find the work a company is paying for right now and simply automate that work or pain point they're currently having. This is exactly what we build inside of our school community, which is completely free, by the way. So if you want the step-by-step for turning AI into a paid product, it's all in there. Once again, completely free of charge. Links in the description, so go grab it. All right, so that's Sonnet 5, the quiet update that quietly changes everything. You get near Opus power for half the price. Again, if you actually want to build and sell this stuff, the link is in the description. If this helped, subscribe. I'll try to break down every single new AI concept or piece of news that comes out every single week. And thank you. Thank you.